even probably regarding drugs. And another message that this ice brings with it is regarding, a popular substance that is actually taking over our planet. And it's even actually been declared as, a weapon of mass destruction upon the planet by our president. It's been reclassified, from just a normal substance. This is actually a chemical of warfare. Whenever I see this ice, you know, it lets me know that this could be in representation of methamphetamines, even, that may have this King of Sword in bad health. And this ice has the message of honor is better than honors. So I'm assuming that, is directly even responsible for some of these control issues that this King of Swords does display within his lifestyle. This ice plays a big part in this read coming out in this first row. And then we also get the card, the Four of Sword in the reverse, which does speak of rest whenever it comes out in the upright. But by it being in the reverse, something has been awakened. And we also get the Page of Wands coming out in that second row, which, them Page of Wands, whenever you see that come out, it usually speaks of either children or they can be messengers of the tarot, and I'm assuming that maybe this King of Swords did receive a message about something that has awakened or something that has come back to life, something being brought back to life. Even whenever you see that Four of Sword in the reverse, something has been awakened and brought back to life. And then we get the Poverty card in the reverse, also coming in that second row, with the Addiction card coming out in the reverse. So that does kind of confirm everything I just said. And then we get this card about the devil making pots with no lids in the reverse. So it seems like with all this smoke coming out this pot, it seems like, these issues regarding these controlled substances, it may have actually had someone thinking that they had full control of this matter. Something that they, maybe brought back to life. And I'm assuming maybe they even use it, for financial gain whenever you see that Poverty card coming out in the reverse. Because that speaks of, not poverty. Somebody may be making some kind of money in some kind of way, bringing something to life, and even taking action upon some things, probably regarding their, substance use. Because you get all that smoke in this second, card here, or this first card here. There's a lot of smoke arising. And whenever, there may be different methods of usage, you can probably, take advantage of these substances in probably a few different ways. But with that smoke rising in that pot like that, it looks like this may have been an issue that was probably being burned. And I just found out that they're actually mixing methamphetamines with fentanyl. And they're combining the two for a stronger, fulfillment, a stronger fix, which is extremely dangerous. Because at that time, you now have mixed an upper and a downer, which can cause sudden death, heart attacks, and all kinds of problems with a person's health. Because then next we have the Page of Cups coming out in the reverse as well. And so whatever messages and whatever action that's being taken by this knight coming out as this king, they're in the reverse. These actions have no good intentions. And also, these actions may be dealing with this wheel of fortune that has come upon this king of sword. Due to the multiple choices, that's what these actions have been, directly related to or correlated or whatever, course, whatever. They're connected. These actions are connected with these multiple choices. This King of Sword probably thought he really didn't have any issues when it comes down to these substances that are going up in smoke at this current time. Someone didn't think they had any issues whenever you see that pot boiling over in the reverse. Maybe they thought they had their use under control. But how can you control two substances that are being combined when one of them is an upper and one of them is a downer? It can actually make you crash hard into death. Because we also get this House card, which is a direct depiction of the Tower in the traditional tarot spread. Coming out right with this Wheel of Fortune and this unofficial message, probably about some things that someone did, choose. It's brought a tower upon a situation when we're dealing with these substances that we're talking about. And even the cruelty that he was displaying when he made his love offers. Because it says politeness pleases even a cat, tip top. So I'm assuming that, these multiple choices and this messages of love has been brought down by way of the Tower. And probably even a message about, some kind of wheel of fortune, some kind of drastic change in someone's circumstances. And it could be dealing with their finances, that maybe they did once profit upon. And something that they were trying to bring to life, life to a situation. And they were even using, some fast action with that Page of Wands. But the Page of Wands is usually in the traditional tarot. I'm thinking that he's riding on that horse, and he's actually, that's the Page of Pentacles that has that coin that he's captivated by that coin. That message came out a couple reads ago about an individual that was, motivated by the money, which probably every person in the planet is motivated by money. So, that can't be too much of a bad thing when it comes down to trying to survive, in this world. And if you got to keep up any type of substance usage, the Tower and the Wheel of Fortune has came upon this situation, regarding these issues with these substances. And then we get the Two of Cups card coming out also in the fourth row, which is, it speaks kind of for itself, because it's actually like two people coming together. But when it's in the reverse, this is not a very good union that would be coming together. it wouldn't be of a benefit to anyone, because this situation is a reversed love situation. Also coming in with a fishy cup, so that could be anything in that cup, full of lies, you know what I'm saying, and full of misdirection even, when someone tries to make you look that way, catfish, there's all kind of terms and phrases that we can put upon them reverse love offers, because this is actually what you need to tell this king of sword, this controlling king, this dominating individual who wants to rule and reign over the situation. Whatever situation, he wants to rule it, because the king of sword in the reverse is a very, very, very master manipulator. And then, when we get the Six of Pentacles, which is supposed to be the equal give and take card to some readers, but in my opinion, in my depiction of this card, is someone that's giving breadcrumbs. This is the breadcrumb card in my description of that meaning. It's not equal give and take, but some readers see it as the equal give and take. And I'm assuming that this may be this cup of love that's being offered in the reverse is probably dealing with something with this courthouse matter. Directly dealing, because see, the courthouse did come out in the reverse, which lets me know that the case and even this actual verdict or decision, whatever type of determination was come to, whatever conclusion was came to at this courthouse, it did not go in his favor at all. And so that's probably why he wants to bring in this actual love offer, which is like a catfish. Whenever you see this Two of Cups coming out in the reverse, someone is being catfished. And this is what you really need to tell this person regarding this breadcrumbs that they try to issue out to each individual that they come across as valiant. This looks like a very valiant offer, which, valiant, it speaks for itself. It has probably a definition of someone of valor, someone that comes with honor, someone. This is how this King of Pentacles, this King of Swords shows up in people's lives. But it's a catfish, because see, this thing is covered. It's not covered, but in the reverse, it is covered. Something's being hidden about this situation regarding these substances, because everything is up in smoke in this particular person's life. And then we get the message of to fall to shame. To fall is no shame, but to remain fallen is. So someone has even, come to a fallen state of being due to the choices, the control tactics, the manipulation, and the catfishing, and then these reverse love offers that they can't even fulfill in no way, shape, or form, because all these cups are in the reverse. And cups are a direct depiction of emotion and love in itself, in its entirety. It does depict love and devotion, true devotion. When you see these cups coming out flipped upside down like this, meaning someone's trying to bring something back to life, with a message that they can get out, and probably even a little bit of assistance or resources, that they may distribute along with their cup of love. Hopes and dreams to take people out of poverty, or to help them in any way with their home and finances, or help them in any way by catfishing, you know. Catfishing individuals. Something did not go in their favor the way that they thought it was going to go in this courthouse, because it's in the reverse. And it's probably regarding a house, the same message that keeps coming out about this house, you know, this courthouse and this house that we're dealing with. And we're even dealing with some finances also whenever you see that poverty in the reverse. Someone actually, you know, someone just wants to bring something back to life, and then attempt to bring them out of poverty. Because in our last row we do get the Ten of Pentacles, which does depict spell work whenever you see that card in this particular deck. Now, some decks may have different, you know, determining factors for what their Ten of Pentacles actually means. But in this deck, it represents group activity, spell work. And it's in the reverse. So that spell casting and whatever type of spell work that this King of Swords was actually involved in, it actually didn't even manifest, you know, because of some resentment. You know, it looks like this King of Swords may be holding some resentment, you know, showing up on top of the Nine of Pentacles. And so due to this resentment, and it may be a group of people that have some resentment, and that Ten of Pentacles, you know, it's in the reverse. So there was a loss. Something was lost here, and it was pretty valuable. And it may even be a house that was lost, you know, because the Wheel of Fortune came upon this house. And someone had multiple choices regarding this house. You know, they maybe had the option to do the right thing when it came to this house. You know, but they chose to actually finesse a situation too. When it comes to these courts and this property, someone did finesse a situation, because we see that politeness card coming out. And then you have to remember that this King of Swords is a master manipulator, and he can, you know, influence and create realities in different, you know, people's lives. Because a catfish, that is actually manipulating the perception of people whenever you can catfish a person. And then even spell work, you know, was being done. And it did flip their pentacles in the reverse, because you get the Nine and the Ten of Pentacles coming out in the same row, showing that there's some resentment that's being actually, you know, exposed. This resentment is being exposed. This spell work is even being exposed. And it's being returned to sender whenever you see it in the reverse like that. And their pentacles, you know what I'm saying, is actually not even working for them in that type of manner. You know, whatever maybe money that they did put on this black magic, you know, it didn't even profit this person to try to catfish and to try to offer these fishy cups with no love. It's just resentment. It's the driving factor behind these offers is resentment and actual catfish. You know, they just want to hook and lure you, hook, line, and sinker you. Because we next get the Over the Legal Limit card with the message of toxic. You get me? These love offers that this King of Pentacles is offering, you know, even the Nine of Pentacles speaks of someone being single and self-sufficient. And so that's exactly why these love offers are coming through. And they're toxic love offers. And this confirms, this community card comes out. This is the very last card in the tarot spread. And, it's very clear that this King of Sword worked together with the community, to actually take your stability away from you. He wanted to bring you from the Ten of Pentacles down to the Nine of Pentacles, which is still single and self-sufficient, you know. But this Ten of Pentacles in reverse, it brings this nine into the negative. So now you're at a -1. Whenever you deal with this individual, he's gonna bring you into a -1. And even a toxic situation regarding this community that he probably did work with to try to strip you off of your single and self-sufficiency, and even to take your Ten of Pentacles through spell work. That was his motive, just to catfish you because some things were not going right in this courthouse the way they expected it to go. And also regarding this house and property, things were not going the expected, results that they were hoping to get from this courthouse. They didn't get them. And they said that, all these cups are poured out. They're all empty. If you could see this Two of Cups emptied out in the reverse. Even this Page of Cups has emptied her cup out in the reverse. And even this Knight of Cups has emptied this cup out with a fish in it. So all these cups come out in the reverse. Probably just trying to catfish you so that they can gain leverage and control in this courthouse. And so that they can gain leverage and control, with this toxicity coming out. This person is toxic.